All right, so in this video, we're going to see former prosecutor and Senator Amy Klobuchar just completely dismantle Donald Trump's latest, and it is a genuinely wild attempt to blame Democrats for his own administration's failure to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. We're going to see a masterclass, really, in how to calmly and methodically take apart a desperate lie. Trump gets so defensive and tries to rewrite history, and, it's just going to fall apart spectacularly. You have to watch for the moment she just lays out the simple, inconvenient timeline of who was actually in charge when all this was happening. It's quite something. As usual, let's watch the video in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end.
So right now, we're in the middle of a procedure. The president, frustrated with this issue, has asked his Attorney General Pam Bondi to release what he calls the pertinent grand jury testimony from cases involving Epstein and his longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison. That information, however, even if it's released, will only be about crimes committed by Epstein and Maxwell, and experts say it will almost certainly not mention the other wealthy and powerful individuals who may have gotten away with crimes that they were not charged with. You're a former prosecutor. What do you think is responsible to be released?
Well, Jake, this has gotten to the point because of promises made by the president. By the way, another host of promises not kept, whether he promised he was bringing prices down, he has not, promised he would keep people on Medicaid, they're getting kicked off, and now promises that they're going to release these Epstein files made while they were in office, while the Attorney General was in office. Promises made by the man who is now the FBI director. So you get to a point, and this is how I view it as a former prosecutor, you have to protect the victims if you release documents. That's fairly easy to do. You just redact the names of victims. And you've seen documents like that before. But this has gotten to the point where they have just sown distrust in the justice system. They promised that these documents would be out there. They literally gave people binders that said Part 1, and now suddenly, with a whistleblower reporting that 100,000 documents were reviewed by the FBI to look for the president's name, they've suddenly pulled back and said, no, we're not releasing them. So to me, as a former prosecutor, there are times when you release things for the good of the country. This is one of those times, and you don't go and say, oh, we just got to see if a judge will let us do part of the evidence, part of the files that are over here in this grand jury proceeding after dissing judges forever. Give me a break.
I want to play something your Senate colleague Ron Wyden of Oregon said on the Senate floor earlier this week.
Somewhere in the Treasury Department, Mr. President, locked away in a cabinet drawer, is a big Epstein file that's full of actionable information. Follow the money details about its financing and operations that await investigation.
Julie Brown, the investigative reporter whose Miami Herald story in 2018 really brought this Epstein case back into the forefront. She says that file of financial records would be a trove of information in terms of finding other guilty parties. Do you think the Treasury Department should release what they have on Epstein too?
Like I said, things should be released. We should know what happened here. And it is a claim that this president has made time and time again, and the American people have the right to know what happened.
So President Trump posted on Truth Social Friday, quote, if there was a smoking gun on Epstein, why didn't the Democrats who controlled the files for 4 years and had Garland and Comey in charge use it because they had nothing, unquote. After the Miami Herald story broke in 2018, you said there was something not right in the Epstein case. But it's true that the president says there, Democrats didn't really seem to do anything about the Epstein files throughout the 4 years of the Biden administration. I mean, should you have? You sit on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator Marsha Blackburn for years has been trying to get flight records and other information about Epstein released, and she seems to have been the only one on that committee trying to do so.
So the president blaming Democrats for this disaster, Jake, is like that CEO that got caught on camera blaming Coldplay, okay? Like, this is his making. He was president when Epstein got indicted for these charges and went to prison. He was president when Epstein committed suicide. And then there was another case, as you know, that continued during the Biden administration. But he was president back then, so all of us would believe they know what's in these documents. They know it's there. They've been claiming forever that they should be released. And it is the Trump administration that gave a bunch of binders that said Volume 1 to reporters just in the last month. It is the Trump administration that has made this promise that they're going to release it. So I am blaming Democrats for this. To me, I'm sorry, this is the people that have been fomenting this are right-wing influencers, members of Congress, people who have a reason that they want to know what's in there. They believe the president when he said there's stuff in there that people should see. Wall Street Journal, these are not bastions of liberalism or wild progressives that have come out and said the public have a right to know what is in these documents.
So you saw right there how Senator Klobuchar, using her experience as a prosecutor, just completely dismantled Trump's really pathetic attempt to deflect blame. It was a perfect illustration of a serious person having to deal with a deeply unserious rattled politician. I mean, my thesis on this is pretty simple, really. Trump's sudden pivot to blaming the Democrats for this whole Epstein files thing, it's so transparently desperate and hypocritical. All it really does is shine a spotlight on his own administration's broken promises, and I mean, frankly, it just makes him look incredibly suspicious. Let's look at what he actually posted. Quote, "If there was a smoking gun in Epstein, why didn't the Democrats who controlled the files for 4 years and had Garland and Comey in charge use it because they had nothing?" Right. I mean, can we be honest here? This has to be one of the most brazen attempts at just erasing reality that I have ever seen. As Klobuchar points out, with this sort of calm frustration you'd expect from someone having to state the bleeding obvious, who was president when Jeffrey Epstein was indicted? Donald Trump. Who was president when Jeffrey Epstein died in federal custody? Donald Trump. Who was it that had his, was it his attorney general and his FBI director promising to release these files? It was the Trump administration. You could just hear the logic in Klobuchar's breakdown. She mentions they literally gave reporters binders that said Part 1 just last month. This whole thing, it was a public promise made by Trump's own people. And now, suddenly, when a whistleblower reports that 100,000 documents were reviewed by the FBI specifically to look for the president's name, they've pulled back and are saying, no, we're not releasing them. The timing is, shall we say, convenient. In my personal opinion, it's just genuinely crazy to me that he thinks he can get away with this. He's trying to play the victim and blame Democrats for a chaotic mess that happened squarely on his watch. Like Klobuchar said, blaming Democrats for this is like that CEO blaming Coldplay for his company's failures. It's a bizarre, nonsensical deflection to try and distract from the core issue. And this it connects to the wider pattern we see from the MAGA movement, time and time again. The whole point seems to be creating chaos, undermining faith in institutions. Any idea of truth or accountability just goes out the window. For years, right-wing influencers and even members of Congress have been demanding these files be released. They've been whipping up their base into a frenzy, believing the president when he said there's stuff in there people should see. And now that it's time to deliver, the man who made all the promises is pointing the finger at everyone else. It's a classic strongman tactic, isn't it? And, his position is flimsy when even outlets like the Wall Street Journal are saying, yeah, the public has a right to know. He's cornered and he's just lashing out. Anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. While you guys are down there, do me a massive favor, hit that subscribe button, and also give the video a thumbs up as well. I appreciate you guys, and as usual, I will see you guys in the next one.